Video of the actual surgery on one of Kev's eyes, okay? Um, we, when we evaluate folks, about 5% of the people that come into the office to get evaluated are not candidates for the surgery. And as a result of that, that's the reason for the contact lens thing, and that's the reason to come in wearing your lenses unless you're absolutely positive you're a good candidate. I'm not sure how you'd be positive of that unless you'd had a 3.5 hour evaluation already. So let me just show you what we did on Kevin. And I think Pam's going to cue it up. Okay? Go ahead and roll it, Kim. Now the first thing we do, and the sound's probably not going to work very well, he doesn't see any of this targeting system. He just sees that blinking light. I'm going to make some little marks on the front of his eye with a washable ink marker. He loves to flick around a little bit. And the reason we do that is twofold. One, I said, Kevin, you feel any of this? And he said, no. And two, I've got 5 little half circles to realign that flap with when we get through, okay? This is an eye holder that's part of the keratome that actually does the flap. And we get it in position, and I kind of fussed with it a little bit because Kevin was a little bit frolicky. And I just wanted to get it exactly where I wanted it. Once it's there, we engage it. It holds the eye steady. And then the second half of the instrument, this is a German-made engineered instrument, will actually make a pass and swing up like this along this little track. It's all automated, and it will back off. And during that pass, we'll create the flap. It's actually created by the keratome. That's the engaging. It's moving. You can actually see the little gear track. See it moving? Okay, it's done. Okay? And basically 6 seconds up, it's done, backs off. The flap is now finished. Now, when we lift it away, I would like you to tell me where the flap is, because I can't see it, but it's there. Now there's always a little oil in the tear film, so we put a little sponge barrier down to keep the oily tears out from underneath our flap. It's just a little Maricel sponge that keeps that away. We position it properly. Again, all he's really looking at is the blinking light, and he's wiggling his feet now. Young guys move a lot. That's okay. Now we're gonna lift the flap. Okay, the flap's about the same thickness as a human hair. That's when everybody usually groans. It is cool, isn't it? That's amazing. That flap is about the thickness of a hair. It's about 125 microns thick. If he's 550. Okay, that's a sponge that's about half the size of your little fingernail, but it looks like a shovel.
He doesn't see any of this going on?
He just sees light, shadow, and movement. That's all he sees. Okay. Now, I'm going to get him centered, and I'm going to lock onto him with the tracker. When I lock on, you'll be able to tell because the blinking cross in the center, the crosshairs will stop blinking. He's locked. Okay. Now, what you'll see, you can't see the laser because the beam's invisible, but you can see the reflection of it, and it'll begin pulsing at 8 pulses a second in the center, 7 rotating beams as soon as I'm happy with where he's at. I'm just yakking with him. Now we started, okay? You can actually see the reflection of the beams. They're pulsing 8 times a second. It's rotating like this, and it's moving out gradually and slowly. And I usually will stop about every 15 seconds and just talk to him for a second. I'm encouraging him all this time to stay on the target, mainly because I'm conditioned to do that over all the years we didn't have a tracker. And as it moves out, I'm going to protect the hinge because the actual treatment will get bigger than where the flap edge is. Okay, and I want to protect the hinge of that flap. We're about 30 seconds into it now. In the last 15 seconds here, when we finally get down to it, we're going to do a blended large zone that'll be 8.5 millimeters. It'll be as big as the flap. It'll be bigger than his cornea. I think this is, there we go, we're blending. See, now there's many rotating spots of various sizes. And we're going to blend that treatment right out to the edge of the flap, so at night he'll have good vision. Okay. That's one of the advantages of a VisX laser. It's able to do that. Okay. Most lasers are not. Now I put a drop of fluid in the center, and it looks like a kaleidoscope to him. And then we'll float the flap back down.
Wow.
And he likes to move. And I kind of gave up on telling him to hold still. So. But we've got it back down where we want it. I'm just going to check the edge and make sure that it's perfect. We see some of the oily component of that tear film now. We all have that. Now, we do a little squeegee on the edge here. You've always got to clean the windshield when you do that. So that's what we're doing there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just check the margin with one of these little sponges. And you'll be able to see that as I come down here, this little rim right here, this is the part that will fill in with cells by tomorrow morning. But till that does, I do not want him to touch either one of those eyes, okay? Once that fills in, the structural integrity of the flap is so much stronger. Put a little fluid on top because it's dry. I don't want him to blink when it's dry. And then we'll take the lid retainer out. You've all got that many veins on your eyes, believe it or not. And he's going to blink a few times for us and show us that everything stays put. And he's done. Okay?
How much time did that take?
The whole thing, well, the laser time was about 54 seconds, I think, in that eye. And it takes about 12 seconds to make the flap. And it takes about 10 years to figure out how to do it so he can see tomorrow. Okay?